Okay, here we go for the final few slides for chapter 16. I think there's 14 of them. It'll go real fast. I just neglected to put them in the other PowerPoint. And I forgot to put my position my cursor so I can change the slide. There was some conflicts, what they call them, the Mormon frontier. And when I made this up, it was on page 605 of your text, but I think that was a previous edition. So disregard the 605. Primarily because they believed in polygamy. There was such a close tie between church and state, basically, that it was almost a theocracy with the church ruling. It was very unpopular with people who were not Mormon. Brigham Young, the governor of Utah, was actually removed from office because he was a Mormon. And any non-Mormon settlers traveling through Utah stood a very good chance of being attacked and killed. And the Mormons saw people who, were cowboys. In other words, they were herding cattle as being immoral because they were usually dirty and drank a lot, and they were not the highest class of people, if you want to know the truth. But polygamy was banned in the state in 1896, although it still exists in isolated areas. As you can tell, on your television, they've got this, something sister wives or something. They've got people have 3 and 4 wives. I don't understand that. I'm a great one for sharing things, but I will not share my husband. The Protestants wanted to have a moral reform. They wanted to stamp out sin, so they formed what's called a Christian lobby. The Women's Christian Temperance Union and the NRA, the Reform Bureau, wanted to Christianize the government by outlawing sinful behavior. That sounds great, but it's kind of like, excuse the expression, urinating up a rope. I mean, it's a great law to have, but how are you going to enforce it? But they wanted to outlaw drinking of alcohol and gambling and prostitution and polygamy and birth control. And some of these things are done in the quietness of your home, so how is anybody going to even know they're going on? That they were going to Christianize the country, whether we wanted to be Christianized or not. The South was all for it, and of course the South came to be called the Bible Belt, which is still called today. And a national law was passed, and led the way by the Mormons indirectly for it called the Mann Act, and it wasn't because it was against men, it was because a man named Man, excuse me, in 1910 managed to get a law passed banning the transportation of women or anybody female across state lines for immoral purposes. And of course, they determined immoral purposes as the procuring of love outside of wedlock. Cleaned that up, didn't I? There was public debates about it in the late 19th century, and it was, of course, divided quite along class lines. So we begin to hear not debates over slavery, but debates over the overwhelming labor question along with morality. It began in 1877 after Reconstruction ended, and the next 2 decades saw some very violent strikes against large corporations. The Great Railroad Strike of 1877, I mentioned that to you in the last one. I don't know if it's going to come up or not. Let's just see if it will. No, it's not going to come up. Okay, let's stop this and